Hi, Jeff Lawton here, and I'm at Quail Springs, which is a high desert, and it's cold in winter, and I'm going to show you some real low-cost houses, plus some really interesting energy heating systems that keep them warm in winter.
This is our home.
This is our beautiful little home. It's a 96 square foot space. It's all structural cob and cost under $500.
How much did this house cost?
$700.
$700.
Yeah, and that's only because we spent. It would have been about $500 or $600, but we bought Saltillo tiles, so those cost $100, whereas Mel and Jack did their house for about $500. So we got secondhand lumber that was donated to us. We got all windows and doors that were donated. So most of the cost was in the roof.
That's the real price. We have used many recycled, salvaged materials. We had ourselves plus many other hands, which made light work for help. So labor was not a cost that we paid, which most people pay in the building of a home. And let's see, mud's free.
The people who are here right now are part of a pioneer species of people who are helping to create the conditions for a village to rise and to be intact with this landscape.
Warren Brush is a student of mine who's gone on to be a permaculture teacher and consultant. He works all around the world, but this is his demonstration site education center where there's all kinds of examples on the ground.
So every community needs a kitchen, and this is the hearth of this community at Quail Springs, and it's in the form of a yurt at this point. One of the things living in a high elevation desert environment where part of the year you could be having a foot of snow on the ground, and the other year you could be 110 degrees Fahrenheit. You have a lot of extremes. So in a yurt that has very little thermal mass and very little insulation, one of the things we have to do is we have to create that stability within that structure. So we've done earthen floors. We've also built a structure in there that's a rocket stove bench that doubles as a thermal mass storage, so that when we do heat it up, it'll maintain its heat and let it go, let it go when it gets cooler, or when it's really cool, it'll hold the cold. And so we've created this very simple structure here to be our kitchen, and it feeds thousands of people. A lot of songs have been sung in this room, and a lot of people have been nourished.
Choice of cob building in this environment is just extremely applicable. We have clay on site, we have sand on site. We had a really amazing resource for straw, which are the three main materials in cob building. And the thermal mass qualities of cob are super applicable in this environment as well. So not only are the materials available, but the benefits of the structure is also beneficial in this climate.
The main thing we're looking at with materials is how well does the material insulate and how well does it store heat? When we're looking at materials like cob, they're made from earth, sharp sand and straw. Mixed together, that element performs incredibly well. It doesn't transfer heat and cold fast, so we can store the heat or we can trap the cold, and we can get a system that functions for us. So we can position stone, we can position cob, we can position straw bales, we can even use earth bags we can incorporate elements in relation to the way they function. And these elements are natural elements because they break down and go back to the soil if we want to degrade the house. But if we want to keep the house in repair, it can last for hundreds and hundreds of years. And there are examples everywhere that demonstrate this around the world.
Invite your friends.
Invite your friends. It's a communal project.
It is.
More than many other building projects, cob only goes on as fast as you can put a handful on a wall, and so there's a quality to it that makes it really that makes it a fun group project, that makes it you're all playing with mud and makes it possible to do amazing things in short amounts of times with big groups of people. It's definitely a project that requires lots of friends.
So here it's so dry that we can build with a bunch of cob, and the cob dries quickly enough for us to build again. But in a more wet climate, someone would have to wait for the cob to dry a little bit to put more on it.
This is not alternative building. This is the kind of building that most of the people in the world are living in. The most common building material out there. And yeah, I find that having the communal kitchen and the communal spaces and meeting many of our needs in that area, there's a bond that's created there as we're working out, that I want to go to dinner with all of my community members and hang around and play music and chat about the day and get to have that intimate time with them. And should I have my own kitchen and be cooking my own meals, I think that I would miss out on a lot of that.
This is our latest version of the composting toilet and human manure production system. There's a lovely spiral adobe wall structure up here with a lovely interior setting, but the blue tube coming out the bottom is the proverbial poop chute, and this will become a composting bin with a lid on it. And instead of having to clean out the composting toilets as we currently have to do with the ones that we harvest the resource with, this one will be gravity assisted, and hopefully it'll just require a little paddling up the sort of poop stream with the old shovel. We're constantly trying to improve these systems to reduce the workload, and hopefully this one's gonna be the next best, latest, greatest.
With our buildings, it's important for us that they're non-toxic. It's important that there's not a huge transportation footprint. It's important for us that it's built from the landscape, most of it from the landscape. And so a lot of the buildings that we have here are literally built from the soils of this place.
What I like to envision, 300 years, if this ever has to come down, it kind of can just melt back into the landscape. Besides the glass here, everything else is from the land. So
it's this feeling of being in a nest that's being held in the earth herself, and it's a feeling you don't get in any other type of building, and it's done for very inexpensively. That's part of the beauty of it. You don't have to get a mortgage. You don't have to go into debt for the rest of your life and pay a bank for 40 years to be able to create a house that fits you like a glove, that keeps you comfortable in different times of year, and that just the house itself is inspiring to you.
I wouldn't recommend someone doing it solo. It's definitely a group project that needs lots of hands to do it, but once you take a course and get a little bit of skill training, it's very, it's kind of comes naturally after a while.
We were very naive in thinking that we could build a non-toxic house in California. We thought, okay, that should be able to work. We actually had designed plans. We worked with a group called EcoNest out of New Mexico, and actually they just moved to Oregon recently. And they put together a beautiful design for us to build a legal, non-toxic house. And we thought, that's reasonable. I mean, I'm asking anybody who's seeing this, don't you think that's reasonable that we should be able to build a non-toxic house? for our families to dwell in. And so when we started to go down the rabbit hole with the regulatory environment, as we submitted our plans and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in engineering and design and all the things that we were required to do to be able to make this a legal structure, we found that we could not navigate through the morass of regulations to be able to create a non-toxic house, that it's actually illegal in the state of California to build a non-toxic house because of what they require to put into the home to make it legal. And when that just shocked me. I could not believe that that was actually the state of affairs, that the average home in California has over 10,000 toxic chemicals in it. And my hope is that we can show people that you don't have to go that route, that we can actually build homes, we can grow food, we can collect water in a way that isn't toxified, that isn't needing the chemical industry to stay alive. I do not need the chemical industry to stay alive. I don't want to have a life that needs that, because all the chemistry I need, I want it to be in my healthy soils. And I want healthy soil biology, which will bring me healthy chemistry, which will give me healthy food, which will help me grow a healthy body, and will help me have a healthy mind to be able to have a healthy outlook and a healthy worldview, so that our children's children have a life that they can live that's also healthy.